Hello there my Jedi and Sith friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your friend and your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today, we have some huge updates for the future of Star Wars. Lots of news has been breaking over the last 24 hours, and most of it comes from Lucasfilm president Dave Filoni. He was in attendance at the Mandalorian and Grogu premiere in Los Angeles, and he has had a lot to say about the future of this franchise. So we're going to begin with some huge information that he provided to Collider.com. This has been going semi-viral in the fandom because Filoni was asked, point blank, what's your approach? What is the Star Wars brand gonna look like now that Kathleen Kennedy has stepped down? What is your vision? And Dave says this: for me right now, I'm just looking at the stories and the potential and planning what I'd like to do. I believe in having an overarching idea. There are certain things that have been in motion already that obviously I want to continue. So I look at the stories that I'm kind of planning and architecting, and I look at other creative talents that bring us also great stories, and I just try to find a way to make them all work. So I think it's obvious that Dave is taking a very different approach to Kathy, and it's mostly because Dave is more of a creative than an exec. And so it sounds to me like he has a singular vision for Star Wars. His contributions have defined so much of the Star Wars canon for over a decade, and I do not see that slowing down. So he's not taking a step back from the creative side, he's gonna have a much more hands-on role in it. Even though he's Lucasfilm president, remember, he's co-president. So Lin Brennan, as we've always suspected, is going to take care of the business side of things, whereas Dave is going to take care of the creative side, leading from the front. But the big question is, what does this mean for the future of Star Wars, and is it the best thing for the brand? Well, to be honest, it depends on who you ask. Because in theory, this approach could lead to many different outcomes. The most obvious, which I think has some fans concerned, especially those who don't like the Ahsoka-centric stuff, is that Dave is going to put more emphasis on the so-called Mandoverse, as well as the Clone Wars era. For those who love those time periods, that's great. For those who don't, well,
no! God, please, no! No!
But we also have to remember that Dave Filoni acknowledges other time periods are still on the table. He's keen on the Simon Kinberg trilogy, the Rey movie might eventually come about, and in this very interview Dave Filoni admits he likes Star Wars Starfighter by Sean Levy. And so inevitably, other creatives are going to be involved too. But the difference with Dave is he's going to be way more hands-on creatively speaking than Kathy would have. I know she was executive producer of so many projects, she was on set, gave her input, but generally speaking, especially in the case of something like Andor, she let the creatives take charge. Dave, I reckon, is going to have his hands in everything. For better or for worse, he has his critics, but he also has his defenders. So then Filoni goes on to say this, and then we have the re-release of Episode 4. There's so much exciting stuff coming for Star Wars fans, but I have to say, I said this earlier, fans have known me now for 20 years, and that I've worked with and told Star Wars stories, so I think they have a good idea of what to expect. I've so far really enjoyed collaborating with everybody, and we are well on our way. The future's in motion now, so it's exciting. I'm rooting for Dave. I've had my issues with him and his approach to Star Wars, but I hope for the best. But more than anything, I hope this penultimate sentence is right, because Star Wars thrives on collaboration, bringing in the right people for the right projects, putting your trust in creatives who have a specific vision for a particular story or set of characters. That is something as co-president Dave Filoni has to understand. He can't be too possessive or overprotective of what Star Wars means to him. He's got to be willing to take risks. Sometimes they'll pay off, and sometimes they won't. But it'd be a shame to restrict Star Wars to one specific formula. And this notion of collaboration has been true since the original trilogy. Irvin Kershner, Richard Marquand, and in more recent years under Disney, we've had great examples like Tony Gilroy's Andor. As I said, sometimes a creative risk pays off, and sometimes it doesn't. We have a lot of examples of creatives who just didn't understand the assignment. I don't want to keep using the example of The Acolyte, so instead, just look at The Kenobi Show. Based on all the information that's come out since, the original story by the likes of Stuart Beattie was leagues above what Deborah Chow and Joby Harold gave us. But I suppose what I'm trying to get at is the question of, is Dave Filoni going to try and strangle Star Wars to fit a specific iteration of the universe? Or is he going to allow other creatives to shine? And let me just clarify that I don't think his influence on non-Mando projects is necessarily a bad thing. At the end of the day, Dave Filoni understands the Star Wars universe better than most, he studied under George Lucas, and I can imagine his influence doing wonders for projects like Dawn of the Jedi or even the Rey movie. But I have seen concern from the fandom, especially after this comment about fans knowing what to expect. It's almost as if he's aware that his Star Wars is very formulaic. However, I do think we should give Dave the benefit of the doubt, because while you could argue he's been predictable with cameos and fan service, I think he might surprise us, especially when you're talking about the Force, the mysticism of Star Wars, and huge galactic stakes. I'm particularly excited about Ahsoka Season 2. And with that, my friends, we have a massive rumour going round that Hayden Christensen is set to appear in 2 future Star Wars projects, besides Ahsoka Season 2. If this is true, could the rumours of a Clone Wars live-action project be true? Or are there plans for Kenobi Season 2? Honestly, when it comes to Anakin, and specifically Anakin's ghost, the sky is the limit, because in theory he could appear in anything post-Episode 6. I mean, if they really wanted him to, he could appear to Rey. I wouldn't even be surprised if he was supposed to appear in The Hunt for Ben Solo. And another big reveal from Dave today, my friends, is that much like the Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Ahsoka series was originally imagined as a movie. And on this subject of Ahsoka and movies, there's been a bit of jibber-jabber this week that the Dave Filoni Mandoverse crossover has been cancelled. Very similar rumblings to what we heard after Kathleen Kennedy stepped down. But I do just want to clarify that those reports, one of them this week coming from Forbes, is just a bit of speculation. It was a small sentence taken out of context. They were just repeating a rumour from Deadline.com. It's not official, there is nothing saying the movie's been cancelled. It might be on the back burner, but it's not scrapped. And with Dave now as co-president, and he's even confirmed he started working on the film, I very much doubt it's been permanently cancelled. He explicitly stated that after Ahsoka Season 2, there will be more stories of the Mandoverse. They haven't planned everything yet, but more is to come. And so finally, my friends, another bit of news that concerns Dave. Lucasfilm greenlit a New Republic video game that EA shot down. Now, even though it says New Republic, it's not set post-Episode 6. It was meant to be a sequel to the Old Republic, no doubt showing us the Disney canon transition from the Old Republic to the High Republic. And according to the developer James Olsen, Filoni was like, if you set it a couple of hundred years before the fall of the Republic, we can have a tie-in. But I suppose in terms of High Republic games, we're waiting on Star Wars Eclipse, which recently had a very negative update. It doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. But what do you guys think? Do you think the future of Star Wars is bright under Dave Filoni? And what do you make of his new comments? Share your thoughts down below, guys. And if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.